A woman with long dark hair, dressed in an off-the-shoulder dress, stands on stage. The stranger has several bouquets of flowers in her hands. They were recently given to her by fans. This woman is a famous theater and film actress. Selfishly beautiful and amazingly talented. That's all you need to know about her. Oh, they almost forgot. She is also obsessed with awards. Cameras click. Photographers ask a world-class star to look into the lens. The woman happily fulfills their request. She is used to being the center of attention. Dark forest. Tree branches break from a large amount of snow. The howling of the icy wind is heard. Hardly anyone would want to be here now. Seo Rin-ha, our successful actress, is lying by one of the trees. A woman, dressed only in pants, a top, and a light shirt, shivers from the cold. She opens her blue eyes. For a few seconds, Seo Rin-ha tries to understand what is happening and where she even is. The whole body of the dark-haired woman hurts. She carefully sits down on the snow. The woman looks around. From the large number of trees, she guesses that she is in a forest. The only question is how Seo Rin-ha got here. 2 hours ago. There is a van with filming equipment on the rock. Fluffy white clouds float across the clear sky. "You need an understudy," says Seo Rin-ha, one of the screenwriters. The movie star smiles and crosses her arms over her chest. "If I want to collect all the awards this year, I will have to work." Dark-haired does not want to hear that this place is known for a large number of accidents. Seo Rin-ha thinks it's a silly rumor. The director orders to start filming. Seo Rin-ha takes another look at the set. Team workers have already taken all possible safety measures and conducted several tests on mannequins. Of course, the woman is a little scared to jump off the cliff, but she trusts the film crew. More precisely, she trusted. Until the safety cable breaks. Seo Rin-ha remembers falling off a cliff into the ocean. But in this case, she still cannot understand why she is in the forest. In addition, in the forest, the weather in which is very different from the weather on the rock. It was warm there, sometimes even hot. Seo Rin-ha hugs her shoulders. What's going on? The girl wants to believe that all this is just another filming, but she knows that her team would never start filming in such a dangerous situation. The dark-haired one speculates that maybe she's just sleeping and can't wake up due to the shock of falling from the height. The wind cuts through Seo Rin-ha to his bones. Suddenly, the woman hears someone's heavy steps and immediately turns her head to the side. Seo Rin-ha freezes in place when he sees a huge dragon with red eyes a few meters away. As the creature hits the ground with its tail, Seo Rin-ha steps aside, covering her head with her hands. What it is? The woman is scared as hell, but tries to hide her fear with aggression. The dragon makes a loud sound, pushes off the ground, and flaps its wings. It took Seo Rin-ha a few seconds to realize that this bug was flying right at her. But the dragon does not have time to harm the dark-haired woman. Someone's sword takes his head off. The lifeless body of the poklar falls to the ground with a characteristic sound. Seo Rin-ha sees an incredibly handsome man with a bloody sword in his hands. The stranger has light, almost white hair and icy blue eyes. Unlike Seo Rin-ha, he is dressed according to the weather. High boots, gloves, and a warm coat with a fur collar. A fair-haired man approaches a woman. He starts to say something, but Seo Rin-ha doesn't understand what it is. For the first time, she hears such a strange language, apparently very ancient in origin. Seo Rin-ha looks around again. The girl notices that the weather and landscape are changing. The snow is gradually melting, and the dark clouds in the sky are dispersing, giving way to bright stars. The woman guesses that she has entered another world. It sounds strange, but it is true. The dark-haired man opens his eyes wide, trying to figure out what to do in such a situation. Previously, the actress did not believe in traveling between worlds. She thought that this only happened in manhwas and novels. The blonde finally notices that Seo Rin-ha is not responding to his words. He falls silent. The woman sincerely regrets that she does not understand the language of another world, unlike the heroes of the same novels. Seo Rin-ha clenches her hand into a fist in frustration. Suddenly, a stranger extends his hand to the woman. The dark-haired woman stares at the man in surprise. She doesn't know if she should agree or not. On the one hand, this man can be dangerous. On the other hand, Seo Rin-ha's refusal will not save her in any way. The woman carefully places her palm in the palm of the fair-haired man. Before the actress has time to blink, a golden bracelet appears on her hand. The stranger lets go of the woman's hand. The dark-haired one is scared. Why did he put that on me? She begins to be indignant. What is this? The blonde notes that the bracelet works well. The woman understands his words, and she is shocked by this. In principle, like everything that happened to her in the last few hours. The dark-haired girl tries to say something, but it doesn't come out very well. The man advises her to calm down. So Rinha repeats the blonde's words, and it seems to annoy him a little. The man's eyes twinkle. I made sure that it works correctly. You cannot repeat it. The woman guesses that the gold bracelet on her hand is a translation device. The dark-haired one puts a hand to his chest. Where are we? And who am I? Will you recognize it if I tell you? The man answers questions to questions. He does this because Seo Rinha's words seem to him weak and illogical. Although now it is not at all surprising. The dark-haired one smiles and admits that the name of this place will not help her get out of here. Anyway, the woman was never here. The man says that Seo Rinha can answer the second question herself, and in general he should ask the woman who she is and what she is doing in his possessions. Seo Rinha squints and guesses that by the standards of this place, she is a person from another world. The blonde says that, most likely it is. He's not at all surprised by the possibility of moving between worlds, the dark-haired man mentally notes. So similar situations have already happened in this place. The moon peeks out from behind the clouds. A woman asks a stranger if many people come here. The man replies that it probably is. He has found corpses several times, but for the first time he sees a living person. The blonde takes a handkerchief from his cloak pocket and wipes his sword. The man's expression is indifferent. A woman sits on the snow. It seems to her that the stranger is behaving strangely. However, until the girl gets used to another world, it is better for her to be next to the fair-haired one. At least he can protect her. The actress touches the bracelet on her hand. The woman decides to get to know the fair-haired man. She stands up, approaches him, and with a smile on her lips asks, "Are you a knight?" The man lowers his head and smiles somehow ominously. The blonde is sure that the actress will be scared when she finds out who he is. The man's eyes twinkle. The dark-haired woman mentally speculates that the mysterious stranger might be the Duke of the North. This is a character from one of the fantasy novels Seo Rinha once read. How did the woman understand this? A cold look, extreme courage, indifference, arrogance, and rudeness. All these traits are characteristic of the Northern Duke. The guess of the actress turns out to be true. The man says that he is Calcion Lenbird, head of the Lenbird family, and Duke of the Northern Path of the Kingdom of Iklin. The dark-haired woman extends her hand to the man. Nice to meet you. I'm a Seo Rinha, but you can call me Selena. The woman decides to tell the Duke only what her fans know about her. The real life of a dark-haired woman can shock a man, but he seems already surprised. Selena. He opens his eyes wide. The woman's name sounds unusual to him. In addition, the fair-haired man does not understand why she extends her hand to him. Selena smiles and says that this is a banal greeting. The Duke silently stares at the actress. The dark-haired one is already thinking that maybe their etiquette doesn't allow greetings like that. The woman is about to take her hand away and apologize, when suddenly the Duke touches her palm. The dark-haired man opens his eyes wide. She did not expect a response to greetings from this man who was cold in every sense of the word. But his next actions shock the actress even more. The blonde leans down and touches Selena's palm with his lips. In the world to which the dark-haired woman entered, women are greeted in this way. "Congratulations, foreigner," the man says quietly. Selena liked the blonde, but he still can't admit it even to himself. The woman blushed at such a greeting. She tries to remember the last time her hand was kissed. Probably only on the set of some movie about the 19th century. The Duke tells Selene in a somewhat disgruntled tone that she looks like a commoner, although her demeanor is quite polite. The woman says that in the world from which she came, there is no such concept. People are practically equal to each other. No one divides them into nobles and ordinary mortals. Truth? The Duke brushes the snow from his cloak. Dark-haired guesses that the man wants to make her an aristocrat. "Only because it will be of more use to you," replies the fair-haired man. Selena is a little scared that the man is trying to determine if the person he saved will be useful. "Then, if my family is not of the aristocratic family, then I am of no use." The dark-haired man smiles contemptuously. The woman understands that it will be difficult to survive here with such a classification of people. The man says that it all depends on what the common man does. The woman asks what will happen if she suddenly turns out not to be very useful. The Duke smiles out of the corner of his mouth. Dark-haired amuses the man a little. If so, he says, we must do everything to make you useful. The Duke touches the woman's chin. Then he leans towards her and looks straight into her eyes. You will be useful if, of course, you want to leave the mountain alive. It all depends on your desire. The dark-haired man is not very frightened by these words. The woman, on the contrary, smiles. He really is the Duke of the North, she says in her mind. Selena is glad to have met a fantasy character. Dark-haired takes the Duke's hand and promises to be useful to him. The woman says that where she came from, she was called the Sun. The dark-haired woman is sure that it will be the same here. Selena touches her husband's palm with her lips and looks into his eyes. I will do my best not to become a burden to you. She tries to be polite. The Duke takes his hand away and coldly says that, of course, the dark-haired one will do everything possible if she wants to stay on his territory. The woman says that she can find allies for the man. However, the blonde is not interested in such an offer. He asks the dark-haired one how she can affect the development of Landbird. Selena thinks. The Duke is quite a practical man, trying to use the person he found for the benefit of his possessions. The woman tucks a strand of hair behind her ear and smiles at the blonde. I'm a very good actress. The man asks the dark-haired man to play. What? The woman is surprised. No, she didn't think the Northern Duke would take her word for it. But to ask to play a part in the forest, it's kind of strange. Play. Sounds like an order. The woman decides to ask again. Just here? Although the dark-haired woman has many years of experience as an actress, she has not yet played in such places. In addition, she is very worried now, so it is not a fact that anything good will come out of this. What, you can't? The fair-haired man's eyes twinkle. He challenges the woman. Selena folds her hands together and with a forced smile on her face asks the Duke what role she should play. Maybe the man has specific wishes. The blonde crosses his arms over his chest. Play the criminal. The dark-haired woman wonders why the Duke chose such a role, but she does not dare to ask him about it. The woman decides to get down to business. After all, she has no choice. The dark-haired one approaches the Duke, squeezes his shoulder and leans down to his face. Hey, the dark-haired man says in a gruff tone. Who are you to boss me around? Do you think you saved me and now I am your slave? The Duke is shocked. The man tries to say something, but Selena stops him. The dark-haired one calls the fair-haired one a cheeky turkey. The woman hopes that the Duke will not kill her for saying so. Fortunately, the fair-haired man understands that this woman is just playing her part. The man smiles and tells Selena that he is satisfied. The actress played as he wanted. But Selena wasn't done yet. A full-fledged image of a criminal is not possible without a drop of audacity. The dark-haired girl's eyes sparkle. What are you saying under your breath? Don't you see who is in front of you? The Duke sighs. Well, I have to admit, you'll really be useful to me. Selena jumps for joy. Hooray, I will live! Herzog says that it will not be difficult for a woman to play her role. The dark-haired man does not really understand what role the Duke is talking about. What does he want from her anyway? Has he already found a task for the woman? She thought that the blonde would just lead her out of the forest, and then she will arrange her own life. However, it did not turn out as expected. The fair-haired one flashes his blue eyes and tells the dark-haired one that she will enter high society as his lover. You will also be in mortal danger, adds the man with a smile, watching Selena's reaction. The actress did not expect such a scenario. A woman needs to think. She does not want to expose herself to danger, but if she does not agree to the Duke's terms, he will leave her to freeze in the forest. Not the best option. The dark-haired woman wonders why the man chose her for the role of his beloved, the person he sees for the first time in his life. So, the fair-haired man has no one he can trust. The woman approaches the Duke and says in a confident tone that she agrees to play his girlfriend. However, the dark-haired man is not going to risk his life just like that. Selena asks what she will get in return. The man is amused by this question. Life, he says. The fair-haired man believes that this will be quite enough. The woman replies that her life belongs to her anyway. Dark-haired people need more motivation. If you give such a task to me, a foreigner, then no one else is capable of doing it, she says. Selena thinks it's perfectly fine to demand payment for work. In addition, the work is not easy at all. Dark-haired people will have to constantly be in high society. And keep your secrets. Duke sighs. You're right. Let's agree on this. You will play the role of my lover. and I will provide you with a place to live and pay all your expenses. When the dark-haired girl finishes her work, the Duke will help her get used to the new world. The woman sighs with relief. She will agree to such conditions. The Duke says that he too will give her hope of returning to the world from which she came. Selena freezes in place. For some reason, during the entire time she was here, she never once thought about returning. This version of events seemed so unreal to her. Can I come back?" asks the dark-haired man in a trembling voice. Duke can't make any guarantees, but there is one way. The problem is that the northern lands are inhabited by dangerous dragons. A journey to another world can end tragically. If the woman succeeds in her task, the fair-haired man will personally accompany her to her homeworld. However, again, it is not a fact that they both will not die. That is why the Duke used the word hope. Even so, it should be a good motivation for the dark-haired woman. The Duke smiles out of the corner of his mouth. His smile is somewhat unusual. Sympathetic or something. It seems that he is sorry that everything happened like this. Even an enemy would not wish to find himself in a foreign, completely unfamiliar world, where all your merits are an empty place. Dark-haired is thinking. In all the fantasy novels she read, the characters remained forever in other worlds. Therefore, if there is even a small chance to return home, Selena will use it. The woman clenches her hand into a fist and tells the Duke that she will make every effort to return to her past life, to your friends, fans, and work. The blonde lowers his head. With every moment, he likes Selena more and more. This woman behaves more or less calmly even in a critical situation, and that deserves respect. The man offers the dark-haired man to continue the conversation already in his castle. She happily agrees. After a few hours, they enter the gate. The Duke and the dark-haired man are met by servants. They are surprised that their master did not come alone. The men ask the fair-haired man who this woman is, whom he is holding in his arms. "Yes, you didn't hear me." The northern Duke carried Celine wrapped in his warm cloak in his arms for a while. The man answers the servants that he found a dark-haired man in the forest. "In the forest?" asks one of the men. "How did she even get there?" The Duke wasn't lying when he said that Celine was the first person who didn't die from being transported between worlds. The gray-haired servant is about to take the dark-haired one from the Duke's hands. "Your Grace, let me, she must be heavy." Selena flinches at the gray-haired man's touch. The woman shyly clings to the Duke's chest, showing the servants her reluctance to let him go. "No need, Dion," says the fair-haired one, stuttering. The servants are shocked. So that the northern Duke himself, one of the richest and bravest people in the empire, would be silent. But also because of a woman. Selena directs a displeased look at the blonde. The woman is annoyed that the Duke can't pull himself together and speak normally. As they agreed, a few hours ago, the Duke and the dark-haired man are walking through the snowy forest. Selena, who is barely keeping up with her husband, tells him that after arriving at the castle, they should start making their plan a reality. The blonde stops. "I still don't understand why I got the role of the mistress, but now it's not about that. What role will you play?" Herzog believes that it is necessary to move on to more important points. But Selena, a master actress, knows the importance of details. If the Northern Duke suddenly has a lover, the people present in the castle will definitely suspect something. Dark-haired hints that their couple must have a backstory. The Duke sighs in exasperation. Details are a very inconvenient thing. After all, the man invents a good and quite believable fairy tale. He found Selena in the forest, saved her from death, and also fell in love at first sight. Duke's castle. Selena decides to take matters into her own hands until the fair-haired man finally betrays them. "My dears," says the woman loudly, "I want the Duke to carry me away in person." The servants freeze in place. The dark-haired one hugs the Duke's neck tighter and closes his eyes. "I did it," says the woman in her mind. She herself is shocked by her own audacity, but the dark-haired woman had no choice. She could not calmly watch the Duke's embarrassment. The blonde glares angrily at the woman. A few hours ago, the Duke and the dark-haired man sit in the forest and look at each other. A man and a woman rehearse their behavior in a castle. They decided to start with looks. The Duke tries to portray love, but he is a bad actor. The woman says that he does not look at her as a loved one, but as prey. Selena invites her husband to smile. He agrees. Selena realizes that this was a bad idea. Now she feels like a victim of a possessed psychopath, and the cold shine of his eyes only enhances the effect of ominousness. The woman raises her hand like a schoolgirl who knows the answer to the teacher's question. I understand you want to kill me. Can I really just kill you? He asks jokingly. Dark-haired says that he will not fool around anymore. The blonde sighs. He was tired of these trainings. The woman assures the man that this is necessary so that he can play along with her. Herzog says he understands everything. The dark-haired woman has no choice but to resort to one trick. What reception? The man asks. Selena winks at the blonde and says she's going to seduce him. To say that the Duke was shocked would be an understatement. In his world, such love tricks are considered unacceptable. The blonde gets up from the deck. Selena is quick to say that all this will not be for real. She just wants to help the Duke settle into the role. The woman begins to narrate the scenario she made up. You saved me from the dragon. I decided to seduce you and stuck like a bath sheet. What do you think? The man sits down on the log again. It's surprising that I calmly reacted to such a thing, he says. The woman agrees. But if you think about it, it's still more believable than sudden love, especially when the man has such a terrible expression on his face. The Duke does not even try to argue, because he perfectly understands that the woman is telling the truth. The woman says that if the blonde agrees, then you need to come up with a plan right away. There are things that follow in behavior even if people try to hide them. Darkhair says that the Duke's task is very simple. Agree to everything she says. He is not happy with such ideas. Love is pure madness. Selena winks at the Duke. A man in love gives his lady flowers and promises to get a star from the sky. He is not sorry to give everything for the sake of his beloved. These are real feelings. The woman notices the surprised look of the fair-haired man and guesses that he has never fallen in love. And the dark-haired one roughly understands why. The Northern Duke is not into love. The image of a cold and indifferent man does not allow him to show feelings for any lady. The woman says that the situation is difficult. It is very difficult to teach the Duke the rules of behavior with a loved one in a few hours. But the fair-haired man must try to wrap everyone around his finger. The Duke should show minimal interest in his beloved. Selena ponders, how about my lady love? Can you say that? Do you want to be my slave? Asks the fair-haired man in a cold tone. The woman understands that this phrase really does not suit the Duke's personality. It will sound harsh from his lips. Dark-haired offers another option. Don't want her to be someone else's? But the Duke finds an answer to that too. He says he can just handcuff a woman. The woman is thinking. After a few seconds, she gives another idea. The Duke patiently listens to the instructions of the dark-haired woman. But her ingenious method again does not suit the man. An hour passes. Selena was already tired of teaching the Duke. The woman admits that the wig is an absolutely inflexible person, which is bad for acting. The blonde does not know how to wear masks to play various roles. He is what he is. The woman covers her face with her hands and sighs in annoyance. The Duke was also disgusted by all this. The man, like Selena, realized that he was not an actor. But the dark-haired man is not going to give up. She forced a smile. Let's try again. And they tried, but all to no avail. The Duke barely managed to squeeze out a few words. It is clear why now, in her husband's castle, Selena intervened in his conversation with the servants. The woman observes the faces of the staff. She squeezes the Duke's shoulder and begins to whisper in his ear to say at least something. The servants whisper among themselves. One of them, in an indignant tone, asks the woman how she, some rag from the forest, dares to speak like that to his eminence. Finally, the Duke begins to act. So, he tries to speak as confidently and loudly as possible. The dark-haired girl hopes that the man will be able to say what is needed. After a few seconds, the fair-haired man, in a tone that does not tolerate objections, tells the servants that he will carry the woman himself. Selena smiles. He almost made it. The servants freeze in place with open mouths. The man turns his back to them and says that he is going to the castle. The dark-haired woman looks quite satisfied. When the man gets far enough away from the servants, Selena gives him a sweet smile. Congratulations, it was hard, but you did it. The Duke blushes at the praise. He closes his eyes and asks the woman to shut up. Over the course of several hours, Selena had put him in an awkward position several times. The man does not want it to happen again now. The dark-haired man can barely contain his laughter. The stern northern duke, who can kill a huge dragon with one blow of his sword, is ashamed of his feelings. The man notices the dark-haired woman's reaction and asks what is so funny. "It's okay," says the woman. "I just think you'll continue to do well." The duke takes Selena to the castle. Maids and guards bow to the man. The dark-haired one looks around, never letting go of his beloved's neck. The fair-haired man orders the maids to prepare a bath and dinner for 2 people, and he himself goes into one of the rooms. There, he carefully places the dark-haired one on the floor. The woman says that the servants almost bit them. "Maybe we should have a little meeting to decide how to proceed," Selena suggests. The man agrees. The dark-haired girl sits down on a red couch trimmed in gold and asks the duke why she has to play the role of a criminal lover. The woman wants to deal with everything. The blonde sits across from Selena and takes a cup of tea in his hands. "When my fiancé died, rumors of a criminal mistress began to spread in high society." The dark-haired man is surprised by how calmly the duke talks about the death of his bride. Apparently, he did not love her. The man takes a sip of tea. "I was angry at this interference in my life." A woman decides to find out exactly how her husband's fiancé died. She gently smiles at the blonde and asks him to tell the whole story. The man crosses his arms over his chest. He does not really want to talk about this topic, but he understands that it is necessary. The north is quite far from the north of the state, so the people were not interested in life there, until they found gold in the north. It was then that the duke decided to get married. He chose the daughter of a decent baron, but she died. The dark-haired man listens carefully. The duke says it happened the night before the wedding. In his residence, it is clear that it was murder. Murder to discredit the lord of the northern lands. It was a challenge to Duke Lenbert, proof that his estate was not well protected. The man's fiancée was also killed to protest against his marriage. The blonde says that whoever it is, they will definitely pay for their heinous act. The man is going to kill them. The duke's gaze makes Selene uneasy, but the blonde does not notice this. He is used to the fact that people are afraid of him. The man says that people's version of suicide is completely implausible. The father of the unfortunate girl, the baron, did not participate in the investigation. The blonde didn't want the guy to have a chance to set him up. Dark-haired says that the killer must be searched in narrow circles. The conversation between the duke and the woman is interrupted by a servant. He informs his husband that the bath is ready. The actress thinks that she should do with her clothes. Servants will definitely suspect something if they see a woman in a shirt, top, and jeans. Duke offers to hide things. However, the woman immediately rejects this idea. Someone may notice how she folds her clothes somewhere. Suddenly, a good idea comes to the dark-haired woman's head. True, it may seem a bit strange. Do what you want. It seems that the Duke is already used to the woman's creative approach to absolutely everything. The dark-haired one flashes her eyes and smiles. "Get ready, I'm going to show you real acting skills. Compared to it, the scene in the forest will seem unbelievable." The servant, a man with yellow eyes and greenish hair, is still standing outside the door of the room. He does not understand why the Duke did not answer him. Maybe something happened. "Your Grace?" the servant asks. The blonde turns his head towards the door. The man looks nervous. He will have to play a role again. Selena tries to calm her beloved. "Don't worry, focus your strength in the diaphragm so that a powerful sound comes out." However, the man is silent. Dark-haired once again decides to take control of the situation. "I don't want them to help me undress," she shouts. The servants gathered at the door were surprised. Selena loudly declares that she does not want anyone but the Duke to touch her body. The 2 maids whisper to each other, trying to understand what is happening in the room. The dark-haired one lowers his head and closes his eyes. "You better tell them all to get out. We belong to each other, and I won't let anyone touch me or you." The blonde is confused. He just stares at Selena. The woman snorts faintly. Then the Duke finally says the right words. "We don't need help. Everyone is free." The servants don't really want to leave the Duke alone with his rude mistress, but they do not dare to obey the husband's order. Selena and the blonde look at each other in silence. After a few minutes, the dark-haired woman leans back on the sofa. "Everyone has really left. I was shaking with excitement, and you, I understand, too. But we managed." The woman tells the fair-haired man that she wants to take a shower. Still, the forest is not the cleanest place. She asks the Duke where the bathroom is. The man points with his hand to the right. Dark-haired thanks. The woman is glad that she finally had the opportunity to rest at least a little. But Selena still hasn't decided what to do with the clothes. Most likely, she will have to burn it. The woman enters the right room and freezes in place. A huge room with a high ceiling, a jacuzzi, several pots with plants. This is what the Duke's bathroom looks like. The dark-haired man notices 2 robes hanging on hooks. The woman has another idea. "Come here," Selene calls the Duke. He fulfills her request. A woman asks a fair-haired man to take her clothes and tear them. God, what is this? The man is somewhat indignant. He himself does not understand why he allows Selena to make him do all kinds of stupid things. The man examines the dark-haired man. She stands in front of him in a robe. The Duke finds himself thinking that this woman is very attractive. He abruptly turns his back on her. The blonde is afraid that Selena will notice him looking at her. The Duke concentrates on his task of tearing the woman's clothes, but he says that he is doing well. Suddenly, the man stops doing what he was supposed to do. He abruptly wraps his arms around Selena's waist and covers the dark-haired man's mouth with his hand. The blonde asks her to be quieter. The woman asks what happened. The tense Duke, not letting her go, says that someone is eavesdropping on them. "Somebody like a spy or an assassin?" suggests the dark-haired one. "So," replies the fair-haired man. Selene carefully takes the Duke's hand away from her mouth. The woman says she is not surprised. She wonders what the Duke will do. The man worries about how to kill the one behind the door. The dark-haired one is once again convinced that the Duke is a very strange person. Maybe he's even crazy. In any case, killing is the last method that should be used to get rid of enemies. Selena wasn't going to let the Duke do that. The woman offers him to use her. The blonde doesn't really understand what Selena is talking about. The woman raises her index finger. "Let's fool them by creating the situation we want right now. It's better than watching the Duke's poor acting." The man is not offended by these words. He suggests that Selena do everything for real. The woman opens her eyes wide. The fair-haired man's plan sounds somewhat obscene. No, the Duke is certainly very handsome, but she is not ready to become his real lover so quickly. A woman pushes a man away. She turns her back to him and sighs, "I didn't think you were so obscene." The blonde, as always, doesn't understand what the hell is going on. The woman says that she herself takes care of acting. The Duke can only smile or tear his clothes. The man wants to ask Selena something, but she doesn't let him say a word. The dark-haired girl rests her hands on the Duke's shoulders. "Sometimes you can gently call me by name," she continues, giving instructions. "But don't be awkward." The woman twinkles her eyes cheerfully and smiles at the Duke. She says that she will do everything herself. Selena is a born actress, so the blonde has nothing to worry about. The dark-haired woman's clothes are torn. She and the Duke are sitting, or rather lying, in the jacuzzi. The man lets out a nervous laugh. He knew that Selena was quite a brave woman, but that was it. No one had yet dared to overthrow the Northern Duke himself. "Unbelievable," says the man. "It's so great to act out a shameful situation." The dark-haired girl is glad that the Duke praised her, even in such a modest way. "Have the servants left?" the woman asks. "So." The Duke is still amazed. Selena's acting was so passionate that even he could not stop the woman. The dark-haired woman suggests that the man get out of the jacuzzi, dry himself, and call the staff. After all, the Duke has to work. He doesn't have much time to have fun with his lover. "And don't you wonder," the woman winks at the man, "what the servants will say." A maid is standing behind the bathroom door. She is shocked. The Duke brought a woman to the castle and immediately, without introducing his passion to anyone, went with her to the bathroom. It is very strange. The maid opens the door and freezes in place when she sees Selena and the Duke in white robes. The dark-haired woman gently holds her husband's hand and smiles. The maid tells the woman that she is going to take her to the dressing room. Selena doesn't mind changing into a cute dress. The dark-haired one tells the Duke that she will return more beautiful. 30 minutes pass. Selena examines herself in the mirror. A woman's hair is gathered in a neat hairstyle. A dark-haired woman wearing a blue off-the-shoulder dress. Selena's outfit is decorated with gold threads and precious stones. The dark-haired woman is surprised that she was allowed to wear such a dress. The servants are amazed. They say that the former duchess was very fond of such clothes. The woman guesses that the maids mean Calcion's mother. One of the maids tells Selene that she should appear in this image before his lordship. Dark-haired only. She suddenly opens the door of the next room. "What are we waiting for?" The servants sigh. The impudence of this woman in some places frighten them. Your Highness, greets the dark-haired one. A man dressed in a white suit directs his gaze at her. The woman smiles widely. How do you like it? Does it suit me? Is not it? The dark-haired man behaves with the Duke as sincerely and simply as possible. This is how they treat their loved ones. The blonde frowns. Selena almost grabs her head. Again, the man cannot play an elementary role. Why won't he just smile? Did the man take offense at Selena for wearing his mother's dress? On the other hand, the man's servants themselves chose clothes for the woman. She was just following orders. The blonde is going to order the servants to immediately bring the person who chose this particular dress for Selena. However, the dark-haired man does not allow him to do this. She pulls the man by his tie and sits on his lap. The woman looks into the Duke's eyes and smiles defiantly. The dark-haired one hopes to stir him up a bit. The woman asks the Duke if he can think of anything else with her in front of him. Selena understands that the man feels uncomfortable because she wore his mother's dress. But this did not happen by the will of the dark-haired woman. Doesn't this dress suit me? The woman wants to distract the Duke from sad thoughts. Now he needs to relax. Selena asks the blonde why she wears beautiful dresses if he doesn't like it. Am I pretty in this dress? The woman smiles playfully. Confess in the end. The dark-haired woman directs a demanding look at the man. She mentally asks him to answer because they are both tired for the day. The woman touches the Duke's tie with her lips. The blonde decides to give up. All the same, Selena won't let go of him just like that. The man lowers his head and sighs. Pretty, very pretty. The dark-haired woman smiles with satisfaction. It's so hard to get a compliment from Calcion. Your Highness, the servant addresses the Duke. A woman and a man turn their heads in her direction. The maid bows to them. Excuse me, it was I who ordered the lady to wear this dress as I thought it was the one thing you had never seen. So it was you. The blonde seems disappointed. Even though I've never seen her, how could I not understand? The maid once again asks her husband to forgive her. Aren't there any other clothes in this huge castle? Asks the Duke. The maid says that apart from the former Duchess's outfit, there is only the maid's outfit. Selena understands that the servant is not going to back down so easily. She also discovers some strange curiosity in the woman the Duke brought. Blonde says he overdid it. I will always be grateful for your hard work keeping the castle in order, adds the man. The dark-haired one climbs off his lap. Selene is surprised that Callion would let the maid go so easily. How could he do this to a person who dared to take his mother's belongings without permission? Why is he so condescending to Mrs. Jeanette? The dark-haired man says in his mind. The Duke asks the maid to bring dinner. Good, Your Grace. Mrs. Jeanette heads for the exit from the room. The dark-haired woman feels awkward. Before leaving the room, the maid looks back at Selena and somehow flashes her eyes ominously and smiles. Mrs. Jeanette is against the Duke's beloved. Maybe she is jealous of Selena's husband. Dark-haired is indignant. What? I didn't think so. Did she just smile? The woman's guesses about Janet's not very good intentions were confirmed. An hour later, the maid served dinner. A young man with gray hair enters the room. The Duke recommends him to the dark-haired man. This is Dion, head of the knights, my guard and friend. The blonde warns the woman that the knight knows about their plan. Selena calms down. So we don't have to play in front of him. Take care of me. Dion excitedly asks her husband if everything is going to be okay. The knight talks about the performance of Selena and the Duke. Gray-haired is afraid that someone might bite them and harm Calcion. Dion asks the dark-haired one if she is playing now. The woman considers this question strange. Why should I play a role if you already know everything about it? Besides, I need to rest sometimes too. Dion tells the woman that even if she doesn't have any feelings for the Duke now, it's not a fact that they won't show up later. Still, his lightness is a desirable goal for any lady. The dark-haired one hurries to reassure the man. My safety is important to me, so I don't claim your master's money. The woman finds the night boring. Selena's nerves are slowly giving out. She says that she is not interested in either the Duke's fortune or himself. Calcium is not my type, she exclaims. The blonde freezes in place. For some reason, the woman's words stuck with him. The dark-haired one ignores this. Money and looks are important, she explains in a calm tone. But I pay more attention to a man's character, and on his ability to eloquence. Therefore, the knight, as the woman had already said, may not worry about the Duke. The blonde looks at Selena. The woman raises her eyebrows and points a finger at him. I will not fall in love with Calcion for anything. I swear. Everything that happens between us is just a game. Dion and the light-haired man look at the dark-haired man in silence. The woman assumes that if even a close person who knows about the plan has doubts, then everything is going as it should. The dark-haired woman smiles at the men and twinkles in her eyes. I rely on you, and don't be surprised if I do something unexpected. It's my style. Dion, a little frightened by the sudden change in the woman's mood, carefully tells the Duke that he is still not sure of the reliability of his plan with Selena. Calcion asks his friend to leave. Selena and the blonde remain alone. A stone flame illuminates part of the room. Quite a romantic atmosphere. The Duke tells the woman that he must warn her about something. First, spies can be anywhere, so Selene should be very careful. This is not a problem for a woman. She has received a lot of attention all her life, so she can handle the spy. Secondly, continues the fair-haired man, you can get out of the picture when we're alone. However, the woman immediately refuses this offer. She tells Calcion that they will have to practice all the time. A man must train so that he can pretend to be in love. The blonde sighs. The woman does not understand the Duke's irritation. After all, he makes life difficult for himself. For example, recently the man almost had a fight with Mrs. Jeanette, with whom there had been no problems before. A blonde should learn to control her emotions. Otherwise, in high society, he will be bitten off immediately. The Duke puts his hand to his forehead. Your truth. The woman is pleased that at least now this stubbornness has not started to show its character. Dark Hair asks the Duke who she should be especially careful with. He is thinking. There is a person who has already got a fair-haired one. Selena is surprised. Herzog has no acting skills, but his endurance is iron. What kind of person could bore him so much? Some naive girl from a poor family who didn't fall head over heels in love with Calcion, the woman suggests. Or a sly aristocrat? Interesting. The next day, Selena and the Duke are walking around the castle. Suddenly they hear someone's shrill voice. Your Highness! The dark-haired man asks the man if this is the annoying person he was talking about. The blonde confirms the woman's guesses. A pink-haired girl in a lush dress is rapidly approaching Calcion. She smiles at her husband. The girl's name is Fionel. I was worried that you would be bored here without me, she says, squinting sweetly. The pink-haired girl is very happy to see Calcion. The dark-haired girl immediately understands what kind of character this girl has. Fionel is a determined and not at all shy person. And also, according to the Duke, annoying. Selena's eyes sparkle. It's been a little over a month since the Duke's ex-fiancée, Irel, was killed. Shortly after the girl's funeral, Calcion moved to Landerbird. Probably someone had to take the free seat next to the man. However, this is too risky. Errol's murder proved that the Duke's bride would always be in danger. But as it is, either Fionel is a stupid papa's daughter who thinks that she will not be killed, or she is the murderer of the bride of Duke Calcion. The dark-haired man watches the girl carefully. If the pink-haired one is in love with the fair-haired one, then the probability that it was she who killed Erel is quite high. However, there is still no evidence of Fionel's guilt. I don't remember that you were invited. The Duke does not behave very politely with the pink-haired one. However, the girl is not upset about this. She says that she has come to comfort the grief-stricken Duke. How do you like my decision? Fionel claps his hands and shines with bright eyes. The fair-haired man understands that the girl will not leave him so easily. You can escape from Fionel only by running away. The man grabs the dark-haired man's hand. Run! The pink-haired girl is upset that the Duke does not want to talk to her. The girl stomps her foot. Your Highness, let's go together. If you continue in the same spirit, you will lose me. Calcium stops for a moment. It would be nice if Fionel's words turned out to be true. The blonde would do anything to keep this girl behind him. The man gently pulls Selena by the hand. The couple walks quickly down the hall. Fionel looks after the Duke and the dark-haired man. The girl calls out to his lordship, but he does not respond. Fionel tries to catch up with Caitian and Selene. The girl asks the man why he communicates only with dark hair. Who is she anyway? Selena starts to get angry. Fionel's insistence is really annoying. The girl does not understand elementary hints, it's somehow even impolite. The noble-haired woman says in a plaintive tone that she has come from afar. The girl hopes that the Duke will appreciate her efforts. She begins to tell how difficult it was for her. You know, the back gets tired after a long ride in a carriage. Fionel asks her husband to take her hand. The Duke refuses the girl. Calcion perfectly understands that the pink-haired one is simply manipulating him. Nothing hurts her. That girl does not even think of giving up. She decides to take matters into her own hands. The pink-haired girl leans on the man's shoulder and closes her eyes. Look, it's that simple. The girl glares at Selena. Fionel wants to intimidate the woman into leaving the Duke, but such behavior only makes the dark-haired man laugh. Fionel is still a child who knows nothing about bullying. In order for the girl to fall behind the Duke, you need to follow her own methods. Selena grabs her husband's hand and frowns. Selena is hungry, let's go, I want to rest, and you ladies wait, my leg hurts. Dark-haired Fionel parodies. The latter is angry. It is unpleasant to see yourself on the sidelines. Selena's eyes sparkle and she turns to the Duke. Please. The woman tries to look as innocent as possible. And this innocence reaches the point of absurdity. Fionel drills the dark-haired man with a devastating look. How dare you behave like this, says the girl in her mind. I will not lose. She again puts on the mask of a sick person. Your Grace, it is so difficult for me, I'm about to fall. The blonde is not moved by this. He tells the girl that it is better to fall on the bed. It is at least softer. The Duke takes Fionel's hand away. He orders the maid to escort the girl to her room. Pink-haired in despair. Selena looks back at the girl and shows her her tongue. Fionel wanted to play, so she got what she deserved. Still, with such annoyingness, she would not capture the heart of the Duke. The pink-haired one starts yelling to the entire hallway, Hey, what are you doing? The maids try to calm the girl down. The dark-haired one smiles with satisfaction. One of the rooms of the castle. Calcion and Selene are having dinner. The Duke admires the way the woman handled Fionel. The dark-haired one asks if all of high society is as unpleasant as that girl. Not everyone. The Duke raises a fork to his mouth. She's special in that regard. Is she a socialite? Asks the dark-haired man. Calcion says it's not. Selena still has to meet with really strong acting people with rotten souls. The dark-haired one wants to discuss the salary with the Duke. A woman's work becomes more difficult. The man is completely calm about money. As much as you want. The woman is somewhat surprised. Usually aristocrats guard their wealth. Selena decides to test the Duke's generosity. The woman flashes her eyes and says that she would like to receive 100 times the initial amount. Give me back my words. You can't get rid of a fair-haired person so easily. Selena laughs. The woman apologizes. Her words were an innocent joke. However, in the heart of the dark-haired person, it is not funny at all. A woman understands that numerous trials await her. Political struggle, numerous rules of conduct. The aristocratic world is not as simple and romantic as it seems at first glance. The rich, deprived of the burdens of ordinary people's lives, arrange political games. They compete with each other for power and money. These competitions are sometimes very cruel and unfair. Selene will have to take part in them in order to catch Arel's killer. The Duke's voice breaks the woman out of her heavy thoughts. Have you eaten yet? The dark-haired woman decides to share her feelings with her husband. I thought about the future, and I lost my appetite. The blonde shrugs his shoulders and continues eating his meal. Yes, he lacks not only acting skills but also empathy. Duke, Selena turns to her husband. The woman smiles at the fair-haired man. Treat me with a piece from your plate. You know, it's not very nice to eat alone in front of a lady. The blonde raises his eyebrows. He does not understand Selena's request. A woman has her own portion of food, which she voluntarily gave up. What is the problem? The woman puts her elbows on the table, which goes against all the rules of etiquette, and tells the Duke that his steak looks much better than hers. The dark-haired woman reminds her husband that she must eat well in order to have the strength for work. He surrenders and gives her his dish. However, Selena is not completely satisfied. The pieces on the Duke's plate seem too large for her. The dark-haired woman asks the man to cut a steak. She can't do it herself because she doesn't have a knife. And asking someone to bring another cutlery is an unnecessary risk. As the Duke himself said, there are many spies in the castle. The man silently stares at the dark-haired man. She behaves very bravely. but her words have a certain logic, so the blonde has no choice but to fulfill her request. A man cuts a steak. The dark-haired girl smiles and innocently asks the Duke to feed her. The woman says that she does not have the necessary cutlery to eat by herself. The man sighs. Okay, I'll do this one, but I'm just playing along. If it wasn't for our plan, I would have just asked the maid to bring you a knife and fork. The fair-haired one brings a piece of meat to the lips of the dark-haired one. The woman smiles. What a delicacy. Selena is glad that she managed to persuade the Duke to do a romantic act. But of course, as the man said, it's just playing for the public. The dark-haired woman waves her hand and tells the Duke that she has regained her appetite. Now the woman wants dessert. The blonde feels embarrassed about what he fed Selena. I need to leave. The man leaves the room. The woman is upset and annoyed at the same time. She understands that the Duke is not a romantic, but he could have endured an hour. The dark-haired one crosses her arms over her chest. It turns out that I should only rely on myself. Calcium can't play. However, the woman is not sure that she has enough strength to pull everything on herself. Selena is thinking about how to soften the character of this icy man a little. She has one good idea. A woman wants to repeat romantic episodes from famous films. It's not a fact that a fair-haired person will do this, but it's worth a try. A maid enters the room. Dark-haired thanks her for the food and asks where the Duke is. The maid says that his lordship must have gone to his office. 15 minutes pass. Someone is knocking on the Duke's study window. The blonde opens it and freezes in place when he sees Selena with a bouquet of flowers in her hands. The woman tucks a strand of hair behind her ear and smiles at Kaltsionov. Hello? The dark-haired woman decided to start the implementation of her plan with a classic scene, a secret meeting with a loved one. The blonde asks Celine what she is doing here. Oh, this situation is so touching, says the woman. I have collected a bouquet of flowers for you. The Duke asks the girl to come inside. Better to talk to Selena away from prying eyes. Dark-haired easily jumps onto the windowsill and descends from it to the floor. The blonde once again tells Selena that her acting is simply unsurpassed. The woman smiles smugly. Of course, I was created for this. The dark-haired one winks at the Duke and asks if she managed to charm him. The northern landlord's cold heart has begun to melt, hasn't it? Says the woman cheerfully. The blonde reminds Selena that they agreed not to fall in love with each other. The dark-haired one says that he is just teaching the Duke how to show love. But it is not quite so. The woman seems to have certain feelings for the fair-haired man, but she herself does not realize it yet. However, now is not the time for thinking. Selena hands her husband a bouquet of flowers. She tells her husband that she wanted to show him what true romance is. The blonde looks at the bouquet. Romance, he says thoughtfully. The man, as you already know, is unfamiliar with this concept. He puts his hands on his waist and asks Selena in a serious tone if it's true that she hasn't fallen in love with him. The woman says she is trying to survive. You're not chasing me away, are you? She spreads her hands. Otherwise our plan with you will go under the cat's tail. The man's head starts to hurt from Selena's antics. He allows Celine to stay on the condition that she behaves quietly. The woman agrees. She picks up the book lying on the table and sits down on the couch. Dark-haired says that he will read. The Duke can work quietly at this time. The man stares at Selena, telling her to shut up. Evening. The blonde's office. A woman is sleeping on the couch. After a few minutes, she wakes up. I took a little nap. Selena notices that the Duke's jacket is on her shoulders. It seems that the man covered the dark-haired woman so that she would not freeze. It's cute. The woman puts Calcion's clothes away and stretches. My whole body hurts from sleeping on an uncomfortable couch. The woman wants to stretch a little. She decides to go to the training ground and ask the Duke to teach her martial arts. This is a great opportunity to turn him into Romeo. The dark-haired one leaves the room and approaches one of the maids. I'm sorry, you don't know where the Duke is right now? From the look of the girl, it is clear that she is not very happy to see Selena. The maid wouldn't mind ignoring the dark-haired man, but she's a little afraid of Calcion's wrath. The girl says in a displeased tone that the Duke is training. Celine doesn't really like the way the maid talks to her. Servants must not disrespect their master's guests. The dark-haired girl crosses her arms over her chest. She will not leave it so easily. The woman flashes her eyes angrily and asks the maid where the training hall is. The dark-haired woman's tone is cold and demanding. The maid realizes that she has made a mistake and starts to get nervous about it. She points with her hand to the right. That's over there if you pass by the garden. Selena, not listening to the woman, jumps up. A few minutes later, the woman is already walking through the dark garden. An ill-mannered maid spoiled the woman's mood. And I treated her so well, says the dark-haired man bitterly. The woman closes her eyes and sighs. It is already difficult for her to live in a new world, a world where even the servants treat her with contempt, as if she is the Duke's toy, whom he simply allows a lot. The dark-haired girl hopes that one day she will be able to return home. She was loved and respected there. The woman was so deep in her thoughts that she didn't even notice how she got lost. Why is this garden so messed up? Selena scolds herself for not listening to the maid. The woman begins to shiver from the cold. The dark-haired woman wonders what she should do. There is simply no one to ask for directions. All the servants are now in the castle. Suddenly, Selena hears a screeching sound. A woman looks behind a bush. Is anyone here? There is no answer. The dark-haired man takes a few steps forward. The woman flinches when she sees an angry Fional coming towards her. Leaves stuck to the girl's hair and dress. It seems that Fional wandered around the garden for more than an hour. But why? Did the girl follow Selena and Calcion? The pink-haired one rudely asks the woman what she is doing here. The dark-haired man is not surprised by such audacity. The woman has already realized that Fional uses impolite behavior as a defense against his potential enemies. That is, from everyone who communicates with the Duke. Selena says she's looking for a man. Are you doing the same as me? The dark-haired man pretends to be surprised. The girl is indignant. Me? Of course not. She tries to hide her obsession with the blonde. Selena points out that a man is unlikely to like Fional's appearance. Oh, I'm afraid, replies the pink-haired one. The woman distorts it. Now they both look like little girls who can't share a toy. Fional angrily shouts that Selene does not repeat after her. The dark-haired one calms down. After all, she is better than Fional in everything. She doesn't have to prove anything to this ill-mannered girl. The pink-haired one is even more angry. She points her finger at the woman. You are definitely an aristocrat. I challenge you to a fight. Selena crosses her arms over her chest and says that she is an ordinary person. And as for the fight, it's completely absurd. Where is it seen that girls fight for a man? Fional glares angrily. The girl exhales loudly. It seems that she understood that you cannot defeat Selena by shouting. The pink-haired one decides to act as calm as a woman. The girl clenches her hands into fists. Hey! Fional tries to find the right words. The dark-haired woman is wondering what the girl will say. Do you have a lot of money? Finally says Fional. Or do you have a rich patron? The girl hints that the Duke is dating a dark-haired woman only for his own benefit. The woman pretends that she did not understand anything. She wants to play with Fional, and of course to rub this little one's nose, to show that she is still far from being a good actress. The dark-haired man looks at the girl with an indifferent look. The pink-haired girl's yellow eyes flashed with a wicked light. If you keep acting like this, I might actually kill you. Fional's face looks creepy. The girl seems to be under hypnosis. Dark-haired frowns. This is already quite interesting. Did Fional, that embittered child, brutally kill the Duke's bride? Of course you don't know. Fional's gaze becomes glassy. But I've already killed one. A herd of ants runs through Selena's body, but the woman tries not to show it. Fional's words sound quite convincing. Dark-haired suggests that Fional might kill her too. By the way, now is the perfect time for that. They are in a deserted garden. Selena is unarmed. The woman wonders if Fional has any weapons. A girl will not pounce on her with bare hands. Although, knowing the nature of the pink-haired woman, such a development is quite possible. Fional clenches his hands into fists. The dark-haired one slowly retreats. The girl approaches her. Selena raises her eyebrows and raises her fist. The dark-haired one hopes that Fional will lose even a shred of his confidence. But if the girl is not alone here, perhaps she has faithful dogs who will gladly bring Selena's body to the feet of their owner. The woman's heart begins to beat at a frantic speed. The dark-haired man opens his eyes wide. Selena mentally prepares for death. The woman never thought that she would die at such an age and under such circumstances. Selena! The voice is too familiar. It seems that the woman is saved. She looks around and sees the Northern Duke. The dark-haired woman mentally thanks God that the man came on time. Duke! Selena runs up to the fair-haired man and hugs him tightly. The shocked man carefully puts his hands on the woman's waist. The dark-haired one exhales loudly. "Phew, I'm saved!" With a trembling voice, the woman tells Kaltsionov that she was very scared. And it's true. "Selena!" The man directs a confused look at the woman. He had never seen her in this state before. Until now, the dark-haired woman had behaved very bravely, sometimes even madly. "What's wrong with her now?" the man says in his mind. He looks around and notices Fionel, who has not uttered a word since the fair-haired man's arrival. The girl shivers. Kalsion addresses the pink-haired woman by name in a firm voice. He guesses what happened, but for the sake of justice, he is ready to listen to the girl's version. Well, this. The pink-haired girl tries to avoid eye contact with the Duke. The girl no longer looks as defiant as she did a few minutes ago. Selena, who still does not let the Duke out of her arms, turns her head at the muttering of the pink-haired girl. The woman thinks it would be nice to get revenge on Fionel. After all, the girl's inappropriate behavior cannot be ignored. But the Duke needs to explain the whole situation very gently. The dark-haired one puts on the victim's mask. Or rather, just adds a bit of tragedy to his true state. Selena tells her husband that Fionel threatened to kill her for always being around him. The pink-haired woman hugs her husband's hand. "Your Highness, Selena is lying." The dark-haired one hugs the light-haired one's chest. "Why is Fionel so close? I'm afraid of her." The woman asks the blonde why the girl hates her so much. Fionel tries to justify himself. Celine and the pink-haired man are talking so fast and loudly that the Duke's head starts to hurt. Selena notices this. The woman understands that if she and Fionel continue to argue, the man may lose consciousness. This cannot be allowed at all. Selena decides to end this fight before giving the pink-haired girl a fatal blow. The dark-haired one gently touches the Duke's neck with his hand. The woman says that she wanted to find him but got lost in this garden. "I couldn't understand where I was." She hugs Kalsion's neck. "Please hug me." The Duke takes the dark-haired man in his arms. The woman is satisfied. The man surprisingly did more than she expected. The dark-haired man exhales in relief. She feels safe next to Kalsion. Fionel is indignant. She hits herself in the chest. "Your Grace, and what about me?" The man sighs tiredly. He orders one of the knights to lead the pink-haired girl to her room. The woman cautiously looks over the shoulder of the fair-haired man and shows the girl her tongue. "Now the score is even, cheeky girl." Selena triumphs in her mind. The Duke's room. Darkhair and Kalsion are sitting by the fireplace discussing what happened that evening. The woman asks the Duke if he is going to punish the pink-haired man. "If he doesn't stop Fionel, the dark-haired one will die." "Did she really say she was going to kill you?" clarifies the man. Selena nods her head. "Luckily, I'm stronger than Fionel, so it's all good now." The Duke is surprised. He didn't think that Selena and Fionel had such a difference in strength. The man simply does not know that in his world the woman regularly played sports, unlike the pink-haired woman. In addition, the dark-haired woman is taller than her rival. The man folds his hands together. "You both look small." The woman shyly says that the Duke only thinks so. He himself is still that giant. But it doesn't matter now. First, the dark-haired man and the Duke must find Irel's killer. Fionel would hardly be able to kill a human on her own. Maybe she made someone do it. The Duke agrees with Selena. The woman closes her eyes. "I was really very scared. Suddenly someone was sitting in the bushes watching me." "Well done to you for enduring it," says the Duke quietly. The dark-haired woman is not very pleased. She expected to hear a longer eulogy. The man reminds the woman that he has problems with eloquence. The dark-haired one stands up and sighs. "I know, just feed me a good reward." You can tell from the woman's tone that she is a little disappointed. However, Selena tries not to show this to her husband. After all, they are both having a hard time right now. The woman turns her back to the fair-haired man and says that she will go to her room. He does not object. Selena takes a few steps and for some reason stops. "If I go to bed alone now, I'll be scared, won't I?" she says uncertainly. "Maybe?" The Duke begins to suspect something. Selena speaks to him in such a tone when she wants to ask for something. To put it mildly, strange. The dark-haired girl flashes her eyes and smiles nervously. She tells the Duke that they should sleep together. After these words, the woman freezes in place, waiting for an answer. The Duke opens his eyes wide. He doesn't know what to say to the dark-haired man. Sleeping in the same bed was not part of the plan. But maybe this way their relationship will look more realistic. Calcion's bedroom. A dark-haired woman dressed in a white nightgown quietly walks in. "Excuse me, am I very late?" The woman says that she was delayed because she could not choose clothes. The Duke is silent. This alarmed the dark-haired one. She looks at the bed. Calcion in a dark blue robe lies on a sheet strewn with rose petals. The man has a glass of red wine in his hands. The blonde smiles. "You should always follow lady etiquette." Celine barely manages to make out his words, all because the man is holding a flower in his teeth. Dark-haired guesses that Calcion was forced to act this performance. A woman drops rose petals from a sheet with her hand. The blonde, who has already turned to the other side, tells Selena to go to bed sooner. They both had a rough day today. The dark-haired one crawls under the blanket and blows out the candle. A full moon enters the room through a large window. Selena lies on her back and looks at the ceiling. The woman can't sleep, so she decides to have a little chat with the Duke. She smiles and asks her husband on which side he usually sleeps, on the right or on the left. "On anything," replies the fair-haired man. Unlike the woman, he almost plunged into the realm of Morpheus. However, the dark-haired man is not going to fall behind the Duke so quickly. She throws off the blanket. "Then I will turn to the left side, used to sleep on it, you know." The blonde sighs. He is not surprised that this woman talks a lot even at night. A few minutes later, Selene turns to Calcion again. "Duke?" "What?" he answers in a sleepy voice. The woman asks if she can have another pillow. "As you like." The fair-haired man starts to get annoyed. When will this woman calm down? Selena thanks her husband and reaches for a large pillow. The dark-haired woman wraps her arms around her. "I like to sleep with my pillow in my arms." The Duke is silent. He tries to pretend to be asleep. He hopes that Selena will leave him. Naive. The woman looks expectantly at the man. Blonde feels him. "Of course, I slept well in the office too," he says without turning to face the woman. "All because there is somewhere to lay your head?" asks the dark-haired man. "Due to the specifics of my work, I fell asleep as soon as my head touched the table." The Duke asks the woman to fall asleep. But Selena can't sleep because of her nerves. The man asks the woman why she is nervous. She sleeps next to the mighty Duke of the North. Selena gently laughs. "You think so?" The blonde confidently says that this is a fact. "In fact," the dark-haired man's eyes twinkle. "It seems I'm more nervous now than I was on the first day on set." The man wonders why. Selena replies that she has never been in the same bed with a man. Never? The Duke is surprised. The woman turns her head in his direction. "Phew, and what did you just say? Some kind of delirium." The dark-haired man smiles. The man abruptly sits down on the bed. He looks displeased. No one has yet called his words delusional. Blonde orders Selene to apologize. The woman bursts into laughter. The angry Duke's facial expression is a work of art in itself. The dark-haired girl says she didn't mean anything like that. In addition, the fact that she is in bed with a man for the first time is true. The woman runs her hand over the pillow. Selena closes her eyes, about to plunge into the realm of Morpheus. However, the Duke plans to take revenge on the woman for keeping him awake. Now it's his turn to talk a lot and about nothing. With reproach in his voice, the man says that Selena's remark was rude. The woman apologizes to the fair-haired man. "By the way," she sits down on the bed. "Do I look like a woman who dates a lot of men?" The Duke hurries to calm the dark-haired man. Like everything is not like that at all. He says that he thought so only because Selena is simply incredible at playing a seductress. The dark-haired one tilts his head to the side. It is not the first time that the Duke praises Selena's abilities, but now his words sound somehow sincere and emotional. The man lowers his eyes. "And even though I know you're playing, I'm really almost tempted sometimes." Selena smiles faintly. Duke is so cute when he's shy. And he is not cold and indifferent to anything, as people say. You just need to find an approach to the man. And it seems Selena coped brilliantly with this task. The woman reaches out. "Ha, right? I really play well." The Duke looks at the dark-haired man in silence. After a few minutes, she lies down on her left side and lightly hits the bed with her palm. The woman says that her mood improves every time she hears praise. Selena promises to give her all until the end of their performance. The change in the Duke's behavior motivates the woman quite well. She likes to watch how the man melts little by little. Calcion lies down next to Selena. The dark-haired woman closes her eyes. Now she is really going to sleep, like the Duke. They have a lot of work ahead of them. Morning. The dark-haired man opens his eyes and freezes in place. The fair-haired man lies facing the woman and hugs her by the waist with one hand. Selena feels awkward. And that's putting it very mildly. Dark-haired does not understand how she ended up in the arms of the Duke. Although it is not so bad. The blonde is so warm. The woman is smiling. "I'll come back," she scolds herself. Dark-haired remembers her promise not to fall in love with the Duke. Selena wants to carefully crawl out of her husband's arms when he wakes up. Suddenly, Calcion opens his eyes. Huh. A woman looks into a man's eyes. "So you're not sleeping?" The dark-haired woman found herself in a very awkward situation. The woman turns over on her stomach and buries her face into the pillow. For some reason, Selene is very ashamed of the fact that she slept all night in the arms of a fair-haired man. Although, of course, it is not her fault here. The Duke himself climbed up to hug. The woman sits down on the bed, mentally begging all the gods that Calcion is not in the mood to talk now. But the Duke is in a good mood today. The man speaks to Selena as if she knew he was awake. "Lie," the woman blushes. "Besides, I said that I used to sleep on my left side." The blonde laughs cheerfully. "I'll remember." He noticed the dark-haired woman's strange reaction to what had happened. Yes, Selena being awkward is something new. Several hours pass. A woman and Calcion are standing at the castle gate. The couple are waiting for Lady Roselle, who is about to arrive. Selene quietly asks the Duke how much smarter his new guest is than Fional. Calcion says not much, but the dark-haired man should still change his surveillance tactics so that no one suspects anything. Selena agrees. Dark-haired notes that his lordship has not met Fional in person. Why did he come now? Is Lady Roselle important to her husband? Selena sighs and tells herself to stop. First, the Duke is not stupid enough to destroy a plan that he himself was involved in developing. Secondly, Calcion is not the property of a woman. Suddenly, Fional jumps out from somewhere. She came to see the Duke. The pink-haired one runs up to the man and grabs his hand. "How are you?" Selena can barely contain her giggles when she sees the Duke's grim expression. A man really can't stand this cheeky girl. One of the knights says loudly that Lady Roselle is already here. Selena turns her head to the side. Finally, a blonde girl in a light pink dress and a hat with flowers of the same color gets out of the carriage that stopped not far from the castle a minute ago. The blonde smiles at Kaltsionov. "I'm sorry I came unannounced, Duke." The girl approaches the fair-haired man. He tells Roselle that he is glad to see her. The blonde gently laughs, covering her mouth with her hand. "It was only worth thinking, and the body is already on the way. Do me a favor." Fional crosses his arms over his chest. "Phew, an actress. She ran as soon as she heard that I was here," the pink-haired man says with a mocking smile on his lips. The blonde turns to face Fional and says that anyone would do that after learning about the pink-haired girl's unexpected visit. "You came without an invitation," is an accusation.
The dark-haired girl was surprised. Among rich aristocrats, it is customary to accuse each other of all sins. Selena decides to just watch the girls fight.
The dark-haired man does not want to interfere in their sweet conversation. "We're so close that you'd come such a long way to worry about me?" Fional asks disdainfully. The blonde proudly raises her chin. "Here she is, Fionalechka." Like Selena, Roselle treats the pink-haired girl like a little cranky child. The blonde leans over to the girl. "Of course I was worried about you." The pink-haired one frowns. Roselle laughs and says that the main purpose of her visit is to console the Duke. The dark-haired woman is surprised by the blonde's ability to insult people. Roselle takes out a fan from her pocket. "Maybe you don't know this because of your age, but people can do two things at the same time." "But a little girl like you can easily spoil both of them." Fionn responds with an insult to an insult. The pink-haired man is trying his best to control his anger. If the Duke hadn't been standing here, she would have pounced on Roselle and scratched out her eyes. The blonde asks the Duke if she can go to the castle. The dark-haired woman is surprised. "She didn't notice me." Selena speculates why the blonde didn't greet her. Does she not consider the dark-haired woman a rival? A woman decides to draw attention to herself. Selena puts her arms around Calcion. "Now shall we have breakfast?" asks the dark-haired man in a sweet tone. She presses her cheek against her husband's shoulder and closes her eyes. At the same time, the woman does not stop smiling. The blonde looks at Selena. Roselle folds her fan. My God, who is this? She doesn't even try to hide her disdain for Selena. "Found her in the forest," says the Duke. The dark-haired man understands that his help should not be counted on. "I'm Selena, nice to meet you," she says to the blonde. Roselle tilts her head to one side. The girl claims that she is hearing such a name for the first time. She asks the dark-haired tactless, especially for a first meeting question. "What kind of family are you from?" "Is my status so important?" The dark-haired one won't give himself away. "Even more important than my personality?" Roselle's purple eyes flash angrily. The girl did not expect that the dark-haired man would respond with such refined rudeness. The blonde woman throws her handkerchief on the ground and orders the dark-haired man to pick it up. The woman ignores Roselle's words. The blonde turns to the Duke and asks what good is dark hair. "Like refusing to talk about a wedding a few years ago?" reminds the girl. "There would be at least a tiny bit of benefit in that wedding, which is in a hunting dog." The blonde says that the Duke repeated this attack several times. The dark-haired man purses his lips. The woman perceives Roselle's words as a subtle insult. The blonde offers her husband to make Selena the personal dog of the Landbird Duchy. Roselle hides a hideous smile behind a fan. Dark-haired frowns. "Just listen," Selena says to herself. In what a sweet tone she says such nasty things. "Well, it's okay. I'll play again." The dark-haired woman will definitely prove to the blonde that she was wrong in choosing her rival. Selena's acting skills are second to none. A woman leans against a man's shoulder and lets out a laugh. "Then maybe such a wonderful puppy should be raised as a guard dog." The dark-haired Roselle smiles widely. "He will not offend the Duke." The blonde grunts quietly. The behavior of the dark-haired girl interested the girl. "I ask you to walk with me to the dining room," says Roselle. The Duke agrees. However, the blonde turns not to him but to Selena. The girl wants to talk to Caltion's companion alone. The dark-haired woman is not at all surprised. She smiles sweetly at the girl. "Of course, I will be happy to chat with you. However, I have to warn you that I haven't talked to young ladies for a long time because of my constant busy schedule." The Duke is in a hurry to get out of here. Fional tries to stop the man. "Your Majesty, maybe we'll go for a walk together." Calcion, without looking back, says that he has a lot to do. "It's crazy." The pink-haired one stomps her foot. Now the girl does not look like a young lady, but like a 5-year-old child whose parents did not buy a toy or chocolate bar. Fional turns his back to the blonde and the dark-haired woman. The girl mutters that she is fed up with everything. She was so looking forward to meeting the Duke. But he ran away. Flower petals fall from Fional's dress. An irritated pink-haired girl goes to her room. Selena is left alone with Roselle. The blonde waved a fan and took several slow steps towards the woman. Celine wonders what this snake is up to. Does he want to say a few words to her? Not at all. The girl raises her leg and hits the dark-haired man in the stomach with all her might. Selena almost bends in half from the pain. What the hell was going on? She says in her mind. Bilyavka turned out to be an unpredictable person. Despite this, the dark-haired man tries to guess what Roselle will do next. The blonde rests her hands on the wall behind Selena, looming over the woman. Roselle glares angrily. She asks the dark-haired woman how much money she needs to disappear from the Duke's life forever. Selena frowns. Fional asked her a similar question only yesterday. These aristocrats are so banal in some moments. And boastful. The dark-haired one examines the girl. She doesn't seem rich enough to throw away money so easily. The woman confidently says that she is not here for a bunch of coins. The blonde lifts the dark-haired woman's chin with 2 fingers. Of course it's not about the money. Roselle thinks Selena wants a bigger treat. However, not one dark-haired person claims this piece. Bilyavka is ready to pay as much as you want. "Tell me." Roselle looks into the woman's eyes. "How much do you want?" The girl's voice is pretending to be kind. Selena realizes that the blonde does not take her seriously. Roselle considers the dark-haired girl to be a simple girl from a poor family, who is ready to do anything to get a good job in life. Selena frowns. She is going to put the arrogant blonde in her place. You can do this with a decent answer. The dark-haired one grabs the girl's hand. "And how much can you offer me?" Selena smiles sweetly. She knows how much the manipulators are annoyed by the satisfied expression on the victim's face. The blonde arches a thin eyebrow. The dark-haired girl's question threw the girl off track. Selena explains that the basic principle of this type of deal is that the buyer offers the price first. Selena flicks her hair and twinkles her eyes playfully. I wonder how far the blonde will go. The woman will check it now. She touches her dress with her hand. Can you prepare 100 of these? The dark-haired man lowers his head. The clothes on the woman can be equated with the cultural heritage of the duchy. No matter how rich Roselle is, she cannot afford such a sum. The blonde grits her teeth with rage. Selena has indeed set a very high price for her exit from the game. But maybe Roselle will get more if she takes the risk. The blonde is thinking. Buying a dark-haired one will help Roselle's relationship with the Duke at least a little. Let it be your way, says the girl. Selena is surprised. She didn't think Roselle would agree. There are two options why the girl did that. Either her family is richer than the dark-haired woman thought, or Roselle is willing to do anything for a place next to Calcion. Selena thinks. The voice of reason tries to suppress the dark-haired woman's greed. The woman reminds herself that she needs to return to her world. Bilyavka says that she can give the required amount in any way. Selena's choice. The woman puts her hand to her cheek and sighs. It's a shame I can't retreat so quickly. Roselle frowns. It seems that the girl is beginning to suspect something. She says that Selena is playing a foul game. The amount that the dark-haired woman named was quite a lot. Is this not enough for Selena? The woman is smiling. It is clear that human greed knows no bounds, but there is one thing that the dark-haired man wants more than anything else. Selena isn't sure the young lady will be able to get the thing for her. Don't waste my time, the blonde rudely interrupts the woman. Rather say what you want. Selena looks away from the girl and pretends that she needs to think. Of course, the dark-haired beast behaves this way on purpose. She wants to make fun of Roselle a little. After a minute, the woman finally names what she needs. Heart of the Duke. Selena smiles widely. Her words sound as sincere and true as possible. The blonde looks confused. She asks the woman if she is joking sometimes. The girl thought that Selena would ask her for immeasurable riches. There would be no problems with this. But the Duke's heart, like it cannot be obtained. Only to conquer, not every person can do this. The dark-haired girl repeats in an innocent voice that she needs Calcion's heart. At the same time, the woman did not violate the rules of the agreement. She simply offered her bet. The blonde puts her hand to her forehead and sighs. This is some kind of delusion. Roselle takes a step towards the dark-haired woman. The girl says that the one who takes the place of the Duchess is constantly risking her life. The blonde reminds the woman about the death of the Duke's bride. Do you want to die because of your greed? Asks Roselle. Or do you think that you can survive and get everything? The dark-haired man silently looks at the blonde, but he behaves completely illogically. She scolds the woman for wanting to become the Duke's bride, and at the same time she herself risks her life, chasing her husband. Why is Roselle so sure that no one will want to kill her if she becomes Calcion's wife? There are two options. Perhaps the girl relies on her family. She hopes that Mommy and Daddy will be able to protect her from all troubles, and maybe she is the killer of Irael. For some reason, the blonde's name is on the list of suspects. The dark-haired woman shrugs her shoulders and says that the story with the Duke's bride did not scare her. Then I won't be so greedy. I don't need money, adds the woman. The blonde already has more than she can swallow. She has status, jewels, and other benefits. Dark-haired does not claim anything from this list. All she needs is Calcion's heart. But Roselle does not need the status that marriage to a fair-haired man can give her. Isn't that what you're after? Selena is somewhat surprised. The blonde twinkles her eyes ominously. I can take as much as I want and get even more power if the need arises. Dark-haired swallows saliva. The woman feels uneasy. She does not understand what Roselle's purpose is. The blonde is different from Fionel, who desires the Duke's love. Roselle does not need this, nor the status and wealth of her husband. Why then does she run after Calcion and knock on the thresholds of his castle? The girl sharply turns sideways to Selena. If you don't value your own life, you really deserve to die, says the blonde dryly. The dark-haired man does not even look at the girl. The day passed unnoticed. Time to have dinner. Candles are burning in the banquet hall. The table is covered with various snacks. There are also several bottles of good wine here. Too good a place for two young ladies to meet, don't you think? The welcome dinner at first glance seems peaceful and calm. But in fact, this is a battlefield for aristocratic women. Selena looks at her cutlery, trying to remember what to use and when. Dark-haired does not want to embarrass himself in front of Fionn and Roselle. Though what does it matter what they think? We already have a bad relationship, I have nothing to lose, says the woman in her mind. She takes a piece of bread from the plate. The dark-haired one bites it and smiles. Yummy. The woman had never tasted such delicious pastries as in the Duke's castle. Fionn stares at Selena. The pink-haired woman guessed that the woman did not come from an aristocratic family, but that she did not know the elementary rules of etiquette. Fionn looks at Roselle. The blonde nods. Looks like these two are up to something. The blonde tells the dark-haired one that her mannerisms are quite funny. Selena glares angrily. She hoped that these two chickens would give her a normal meal. But no, they cannot live without gossip, insults, and intrigues. Roselle, with a nasty smile on her lips, asks the woman in which district they eat like that. Maybe Selena learned etiquette from the local wolves. Dark-haired takes another bite of bread. Oh God, are there animals that eat pastries as well as meat? I will be very grateful if you tell me about them. It doesn't matter what you eat, says the blonde confidently. If you don't eat like a human, you're no different from an animal. Fionn the dog also eats bread. The pink-haired one agrees with this. She says that she loves her pet very much, but she never eats at the same table with her. It is not cultural. Fionn says that the dark hair spoiled her appetite. The blonde waved her hand. Oh, I also wanted to eat too much. But I think it's not Lady Selena's fault that she doesn't know how to use cutlery. The blonde hints that the dark-haired one grew up among the wolves of Landbird. Roselle tells the Duke that she can teach Celine to use a fork. The woman flashes her eyes angrily. It is a bit strange to see how two aristocrats who hate each other have united to fight against a common enemy. Selena picks up a knife. The woman smiles at Roselle. You don't seem to understand something, madam. I wouldn't pick up food crumbs from the floor for anything if I were an animal. Roselle directs a questioning look at the woman. Selena sharply pierces a huge piece of meat with the tip of a knife. Juice flies in all directions. Aristocrats try to avoid him so as not to stain their dresses. The dark-haired woman picks up a knife with a piece of meat and says that if she were an animal, she would cut Roselle's throat. Because I prefer meat, adds Selena. Fionn begins to tremble with fear. Pink Hair thinks Selena is a crazy savage. The girl mentally begs God so that the dark-haired one does not pounce on her. The woman notices Fionn's reaction. Selena smiles and comforts the pink-haired girl. The dark-haired one says that Fionn does not look appetizing at all. The girl is too thin. The pink-haired one lowers his head. In any other situation, she would have yelled at anyone who dared to say that to her, but not now. The girl tries not to raise her voice. Roselle, unlike the pink-haired one, does not look frightened, but rather surprised. That blonde is quickly mastering herself. She wipes her mouth with a napkin. Actually, it's not about upbringing or culture. Roselle begins. Your actions, Selena, are very similar to the actions of an animal. And the eyes also belong to the beast, if I'm not mistaken. The dark-haired one smiles widely. She says that the Duke fell in love with her precisely because of this feature. The woman offers Roselle to behave in the same way in order to attract the attention of the man. The white woman pulls a biting smile on her face. The girl is ready to strangle Selena. Roselle is annoyed that the dark-haired one is better than her in everything. The blonde touches a strand of her hair. Roselle knew that his lordship adored wild animals, but that was it. It's hard for a girl to believe this. A status is a status, and it is difficult to refuse a special situation. What nobility! The atmosphere in the hall is very tense. The Duke decides to intervene in the ladies' conversation before it is too late. The man puts his elbows on the table and says that the Teolin family is in a really special situation. It was the Teolin who turned away from the Lenberg Duchy when it was just trying to strengthen its position in the capital. And when Calcion did not suit the girl in terms of status, she broke off the engagement. The blonde begins to make excuses, like all because of her father. The dark-haired girl watching this picture can barely contain her laughter. This girl is courting him. Pure water farce. Herzog says that maybe then everything turned out for the better. The status that a man would get after marrying Roselle would only limit the Duke. Calcium is the man of the north. He is close to nature and sleep on the bare cold earth. The blonde crosses his arms over his chest and smiles. He counterattacked Roselle. The blonde lowers her eyes and apologizes to her husband. Selena moves her chair to the girl's chair and claps her hands. God, the Duke and I are made for each other. The dark-haired woman says that she also appreciates nature and the peace it gives to people. The woman also loves wild animals. They are so powerful and free. The Duke laughs dryly. He flashes his eyes and tells the blonde that the status of the Lenbird family is very high now. Much higher than the status of stubborn Tiolan. The man asks Roselle what she will do. The girl raises her eyebrows. The Duke's words touched her. Bilyavka perfectly understands that he still cannot forgive her rejection. Roselle considers the fair-haired boy to be an offended boy. However, she will not tell him this, of course. The girl decides to leave the Duke behind and return to Selena's attack. But the man does not allow the girl to water the dark-haired with dirt. He asks the blonde why she came to him if she has nothing to say except insults. Servants enter the room. They carry neat stacks of papers. Bilyavka says that one of the reasons for her visit to Lenbird Castle is negotiations with the Duke on behalf of the aristocrats of the capital. The man looks at the documents. One of the maids takes out about 100 envelopes from her pocket and places them on the fair-haired man's table. Bilyavka says that the residents of the capital, who were bored without the Duke, gave him letters. The girl raises one of the envelopes to her lips and mischievously asks the man if he can answer each letter. Sounds like a challenge. Dark-haired drills the blonde with a displeased look. This snake knows that Calcion can't stand the aristocrats of the capital, and has come with letters from them anyway. It seems that the herbivores want to take revenge. Although Calcion is the king of the jungle, he can't do anything about a herd of rhinos. The dark-haired woman is upset. She thought that the victory was in their pocket, and the blonde had an ace up her sleeve. This meal was the first defeat of Calcion and Selene. Deep night. The blonde is sitting in his office. The man reads the letters, sorts them, and gives answers to those he considers important. The Duke sighs. He puts down the stack of letters and leans back in his chair. The man has been writing letters for several hours and he hasn't even reached the middle. Well, the blonde brought him everything he had. Duke mentally curses her for this. The husband's eyes are already hurting from continuous work with papers. Suddenly, the fair-haired man hears some noise outside the door of the room. Calcium listens. He recognizes Selena's voice. The woman tries to prove to the servants that the Duke needs support now. Dark-haired quietly enters the office. Calcium sits down on the sofa and takes another leaf in his hands. I'm sorry. Selena stops a few steps away from her husband. Were we too loud? The man closes his eyes and asks the dark-haired man in a displeased tone, why is it possible to talk to the servants in the middle of the night? You need to sleep at such a late hour. The blonde, as we already know, is in a bad mood. Celine's talkativeness usually doesn't anger Calcion. It's just that now the man is trying to fix something. The dark-haired one understands everything. She silently waits for her husband to allow her to sit down or to tell her to leave. The woman is wearing a white nightgown. The dark-haired one knows that maybe this is still a revealing outfit. However, the servants insisted that she wear it. The girl says this in a shy tone. She is uncomfortable discussing such things with the blonde. The man cannot take his eyes off Selena. She looks like an ancient Greek goddess. Incredible beauty. As for the servants, the dark-haired man should not worry. The Duke knows firsthand about their special love of advice. He tells the girl just not to pay attention and asks her to sit down. Selena sighs and sinks down on the sofa next to the Duke. The dark-haired one feels awkward that they are sitting so close to each other. Calcium, it seems, too. He covers his face with a piece of paper, pretending to be busy reading a letter. The woman gets up so as not to worsen the situation. But after a few seconds, the dark-haired one sinks down on the couch again. She thought she and the Duke should get used to close contact. Not much can happen at a banquet. The woman notices that the Duke's ears are burning. The dark-haired woman closes her eyes. Yes, this is a rather unusual situation for her. Selena did not often communicate with men in her world.